So we have all of the bodywork and everything done. The parts that are primed gray are just a few spots that I had to go ahead and sand the whole car down to bare metal. A lot of the roof was actually primed because I had to sand a lot of that to bare metal. Just a lot of surface rust, and the paint was really bad, especially on these front fenders, and need some bodywork there. I guess you can call it the hood. We have these pieces up right now just so we can finish taping off inside of here, but basically, yeah. So we have the whole thing taped off. I'm gonna go ahead and clean it, and I'll show you guys what I'm gonna clean it with before we go ahead to prime. So primarily this is what we use. It's just a really good cleaner and degreaser. This can actually be found at Home Depot in the gallon. It's not too expensive. I just put it in a spray bottle, and that's what I use, and then I follow up with this prep all, before I actually start painting. But this is what I use. It's really just, get rid of all the contaminants on the paint before, all that dust and stuff. First I blow the car off, and then I use that stuff, the degreaser, and then I follow that by a tack cloth, and then I'm gonna prime the car. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and pour this into a bottle, and then I'll start cleaning the car off with this cleaner and degreaser. Okay, the phone died, but long story short, I'm gonna clean the car down, clean the bumper. I'm going to get all the dust out of here and soak the floors in water, and I'm gonna come back and prime this whole vehicle. And then I'm gonna show you guys what primer I use. It's a high build primer. It's gray 2K high build. I'm gonna mix it as a primer, probably do like 3 coats, sand it all down after it cured, maybe like 2 days later, and then I'll go back over the car after the body is completely straight, and we know that. I'll hit the car with a sealer, and then I'll go from sealer to paint, and then we're gonna do those 2 coats that he wants on there. But first, just clean it up and everything, and then we'll go from there. Basically, just really, you can use a lot of this stuff because you really want to make sure it's clean. If you use good tape, it doesn't really matter if you get that stuff wet. Use good masking materials, the paper, and you won't have to really worry about that kind of stuff. All right, so this is the primer I'm gonna use. It's a DTM, so direct to metal, 2K high build primer. I got the gray, but they also sell it in black. It's from Custom Paints. This cup's pretty dirty, but I usually mix just the whole thing because I'm going to be doing a lot, and I'll probably refill this. But it mixes 4-to-1, and you can see on here it's 4-to-1, so 4 parts primer, 1 part activator, and then also if you want to use it as a sealer, you can add 1 part reducer to this, and then it'll be thinner, and you can use it as a sealer. So you can use it as both a high build primer and a sealer. I'm gonna do the probably 2 or 3 coats on the vehicle. I'll let that dry, and then the next day I'll probably come back after it cures and start working on any leftover bodywork if I find that is needed, and we will go from there. But this is already what I have mixed up. I'm gonna throw that in the gun, and we'll spray the car. Alright, so quick, in addition to the high build primer that I use from Custom Paints, it's a direct to metal 2K high build primer. Someone asked me what gun I use, and that is a Black Widow gun. This is what I mainly use. It's from Harbor Freight. It's about $300, so it's a pretty good entry level paint gun, and they have one for I think $175, which is, in my opinion, the same thing as this. It's silver with the blue adjusters and nozzles, and it's just, this one's a little bit more durable, but in my opinion, they're the same gun. This one has a 1.7 tip on it, but they also sell a 1.3 needle and 1.37 needle for both this gun and the less expensive version. So if you're looking for an inexpensive paint gun, this is what I would recommend. This is what I use on the last maybe 3 or 4 cars I painted, and then some bumpers, trims, and more. So I think it's a pretty decent gun. You guys should try it out. Back to this thing, we have the floor wet down, and I'm gonna turn my compressor on, set up a time lapse, and start spraying this thing. Alright guys, so that took a while, but we finally got this car fully primed. So we have this primed. This bumper actually has to be done tonight, so I'm gonna actually start working on that. These two right here are some really small trim pieces for this car. They had a lot of rust on them, so I sanded them all the way down, and that's why I like to use that direct to metal primer, because I can sand this down, sand all the rust off, and then I can go over it with that primer, and I don't have to worry about that rust ever coming back or ever having any paint issues. So I'm letting that soak in some wax and grease remover as I'm just waiting for my compressor to fill up. Then I have this completely sanded, not sanded, primed, sorry. And I'm gonna wait a day or two to actually come back and start working on this car, sanding it some more, taking care of any body work. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and prime these, and then I will start checking this for any defects in the primer. And if there are none, I'm gonna go on to the metallic silver coarse base coat for this, and then the orange fool's gold candy, and then I'll go to the clear coat and hopefully get this done tonight. Alright guys, so we're back in the shop. We have both sides of the car painted now, base coat down. Now what I'm having to do here, I was having issues with my gun. Now usually I wouldn't do this, but I'm actually going to go over this whole car. I've already started in some areas. You can see back here where I started to actually with wet sand with 1000 grit sandpaper. So I'm wet sanding the whole car down with some 1000 grit, and then I'm going to put 2 or 3 more coats depending on how much I need. Probably 2 or 3 more coats of base on the car, but the door jamb's already done. I was able to take some of the film, the masking off of door jambs and close them. So the actual interior is still masked off from dust, but the door jambs, I had to take the wrap off of those, the masking material off of those so I can close the doors. Basically, I'm wet sanding with 1000 grit the whole car because we had a little bit of texture. You can see that's not really an issue because the clear is going to cover all of that. So a little bit of texture is not an issue. It's base coat, but because I was having issues with my compressor and I was having issues with my gun when I was spraying this car, and it's such a large car, I wanted to make sure it's as smooth as possible. So I'm going to take the extra step, wet sand the whole car down, and then put 2 or 3 more coats of base on there, and we'll be good. And I'm going to set the phone down, set the camera down, and we'll start on that. Alright guys, so in the shop we did another 2 coats of base after we wet sanded the car down with 1000 grit sandpaper, and I'll show you guys how that looks. So it's looking really good. The color is very consistent over the whole car. We did so far 7 coats of base. We did the first 5 coats. We wet sanded the whole car down with 1000 grit for some of that orange peel that was kind of building up by doing so many coats of base. And then we went back over the car with another 2 coats to get the color consistent. I'm going to start taking the top of the masking off, so the paper, the plastic and the tape off the top half. Now the top half of the car was already sprayed with 2 coats of silver, so it's already looking good. So it just needs another 2 coats. Do the other 2 coats, and hopefully tomorrow evening I can come back and clear the whole car later in the evening when it gets a little bit warmer outside, and then hopefully this will be complete. Alright guys, so we have the whole car masked off, the bottom portion masked off. We scuffed the silver on the top because I sprayed it a few days back and wasn't able to clear it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put 2 more coats of base down on the roof, the top of the car, roof of the car, and then I'm going to go ahead and clear the whole car once I take off the masking paper from the bottom. Alright guys, so we have this whole car pretty much complete. The final step is just going to be, we're going to cut and buff the car. So as you can see, this panel right here, this is 1000 grit sanded by hand, and then these corners right here, I did the 1000 grit by hand to cut down a lot of the orange peel, and then I did 1500 to 3000 grit with the orbital sander to speed things up. I'm going to do that over the whole vehicle pretty much, polish it all out. So we'll see how that looks, but you can just see how it looks now. This thing is just a really, really nice car. Looks way better than it did when it came in. Alright guys, so we finally have this car complete. We have a total of 7 coats for the base, burgundy, and then a total of 4 coats of silver metallic for the top. And then for the whole car, we have 4 coats of clear. And then we went ahead and cut and buffed the entire car, with starting from 1000 to 3000. Then we went ahead and polished it all out, so it looks really good. It's ready for pickup. If you guys have any questions or you want to see my other work, leave a comment below. All the higher quality pictures of my work are updated on my Instagram page, so if you guys want to check that out, it's Eurobagged ATL. It'll be in the description, and I'll see you guys next time.